Hey there, folks. How's everybody this Sunday? Thanks for joining. I'm going to get started here and kind of pick up where I left off on some of these pieces. Some of these are starting to get close to being done. You can see that clay is firming up. It's been a couple of days. I'm going to go ahead and thin some of the foot a little bit. And then I will probably start a new piece today. I went to a good exhibition yesterday at Amoka on Japanese ceramics. Spent an hour or so there and walked around the Pomona Art Walk for a bit. Afterwards, just continue thinning these walls a little. This is pretty much getting done. Just going to smooth it out on the inside. Take down a little bit more. But these walls are just about done. This is like, I think, day 7 for this pot. I'm probably going to let this one dry out after this because I think we're starting to get pretty thin. Hey, folks, thanks for joining. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Yeah. Just clean up some of these facets. Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate that. Just working this one a little bit. I got a few other cups I'm going to work on after this, and I'm going to start a new piece today. We'll be on my usual process is to work these over 5 days, where I rough rough it out the first day, and then I come back and I work the clay as it firms up over the next 5 days or so. Each day that the clay is like a little bit firmer, and you can get a little bit thinner each time. And like the walls stand up, and you can put a little bit more force on them. Right now, this is not quite leather hard yet, but it's getting closer. And this clay here, this is a clay, a wild clay that I picked up along the ocean bluffs in San Clemente. I was down there on a project. What was it, last month or so? Um, and near the one of the staging yards, there was a alluvial deposit on the side of the road. There's and I stopped and I grabbed a few buckets of this. This clay is really quite lovely. And this will stand up to, without any temper in it, will stand up to about cone '06 or cone '04. But without temper in it, it starts slumping when you take it into higher fire. But I had a piece stand up to cone 6 once I tempered in about 10-20% sand into it. So, um, but as far as like the cone '06, cone '04, that's good enough for doing raku with. And I've been, took some of this into raku last week. And I'll do it again next weekend too. Once my daughter is back up here with me, and I can have somebody have a helping hand with it. So, all right. I'm going to set this one aside now for a little bit, I think. And I'll start on refining one of these cups. This little guy is on day 3, and they are starting to firm up. And if you're interested, when these are done, they start looking like this. So, like this guy here, this is just this guy like kind of fired. I put this into a raku reduction, and this is a red raku glaze that I used with it. This is a bigger one, and I used a black raku glaze with this. So this one will coming almost looking like obsidian. So it's pretty cool. And just keep working the inside of this, smooth it out, refine it, try to get it nice and polished. Now, these cups here, I blended some sand into there. So they're tempered with about 10% sand. I don't think I'm going to take them up to cone 6, but I think these are going to go I'm gonna get these hopefully bisque fired in the next little bit, and then I will I'll put these into raku, which is super fun. Although last firing, I may or may not have lost some of my eyebrows while I was firing it. Each of these wild clays that I work with, they can be quite finicky sometimes. You have to, you don't, you just gotta work with it and not against it. Sometimes they'll tell you what the clay wants to do, and not all of these clays are going to throw well, or some of them are better for sculpting or carving like this, and some some want to be on the wheel. It's always a challenge trying to figure out what it is, and sometimes you don't have a very long relationship with them because the clay source disappears, especially these alluvial deposits. I was working one with a deposit I found out in near Barstow in the Mojave River, and I grabbed 4 buckets of it. I still got a bit of it left, and I thought because where it was that it was going to be semi-permanent. I went back out to go look at it, and the wind had blown it all away. So I need to wait for the next big desert storm to come out and see what else gets laid out there. But that's half the fun too. Picked up a good book called Roadside Geology, and it kind of lays out different things different geologic features, different landforms. Some of them are clay that you can find right off the side of the road. So they've got them written for basically the whole country, any state that you're in. I don't know if they must have something similar for other places. I know they got this one I have is Roadside Geology of California. Okay. Get this guy. I do like working in this fashion. It's slow, it's deliberate, and I kind of enjoy the absurdity of spending hours on making a cup. Usually, when I'm on the wheel, a cup takes me about 2 seconds to throw, it seems. This, I'll spend hours refining, coming in and touching up over days. Say hi to the new folks for joining. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday afternoon. I'm up here in pleasant Mount Baldy, California. I spent the morning out hiking with some friends. I'll come back and work in the studio. Probably go weed that garden that's a mess right now after this. I think the only thing I can see is the corn. It's growing above the weeds. Uh, Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm just cleaning up some pieces. I'm going to start a new one in about 2 minutes here as soon as I get done with this. I don't know if these are going to dry in time for next weekend. I'm going to be lighting the raku kiln again up next weekend to do some more work. All right. Clean this up. So these little cups here, everything here is made on a wild clay that I found about my San Clemente down by the ocean. This is what they look like now. Once I'm done with in the raku kiln, this is what they'll look like later on. So this is a red glaze that I tossed onto here, and then I put them into reduction. And this is a bigger bowl here, and this is the black glaze, again in reduction. So I quite like the way that these turned out. But I'm going to get started on another piece here. So I start these off with bigger blocks of clay, and we will take these and take this, and we're going to carve it down into another tea bowl. So I always start these kind of the same way. Go with, this is going to be the bottom here, and I mark off where the foot's going to be. And mark it with the tool. My dog didn't join us. So mark the foot like this. Get a good score line going. And then I start defining the foot. So I come in, start taking these bigger pieces off. I prefer to work with a wooden knife. I think it makes nicer tool marks, and I like the way that it feels. So I kind of get there. That's the first bit. Just start looking at it. Right. Now, kind of edge it. So I see where I'm going. And then I bring it down another level. Okay. I'll clean this up a little. This is where the foot's going to be. And then I'll interior. You can spend a surprising amount of time on the foot ring, getting it just right. So there. All right. Kind of finished that step. Got this roughed out. This is the first day of this. So I will come back and I'll work this over 5 days, but this is the start. So then I come back in. The next thing I do is I mark the body. As we're gonna carve out the interior. All right. I'm gonna carve out the interior here. And then I take a bigger trimming tool and I start coming in and I just start carving out. Yeah, there we go. Start taking this out. I like to carve out the interior. I used to use a small trimming tool, but that takes too long. I use this one now, and it's nice big scoops. Mm. Hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday afternoon outside on my patio with my dogs before it starts. All right. Keep working this down. Let's see. So we come in like this. Okay. So we got that there. What we'll do is we'll take a measurement then. So kind of there to there. So you can see we're getting down pretty good there. So I'm gonna hold, I think I maybe take one more. Yeah, maybe one more scoop right here. Okay. The next part I do from here, let's just take my wooden knife and I start smoothing the walls out, taking the excess off the walls. One of the things I really love about this style of work is how accessible it is to people. You really only need a knife and a spoon and some clay to get started on it. You don't need a wheel. You don't need a lot of fancy tools. Just things to kind of reduce down the clay. All right. So we kind of got the interior hollowed out. Now I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to flip it over. This is when we start the body work. Okay. I'll start here. I did notice that this side over here is a bit thin, so I'm going to be careful not to put the knife through the body. I like to go from the force it down so the walls can give the piece a bit of structure as you're carving out. If you don't, the walls will often collapse on you when you're trying to do this, which is a no bueno. All right. So that's the first pass. We'll take a look what's going on here. So we know we got lots of here. So this style of work is called kurinuki in Japanese style. I really enjoy working this style. Let's keep reducing this down. Okay. So I'll take a look at this now and see where we're at. What I like to do after a couple passes, let's get it up, take a look, and then see where I can go from here. Generally, I like to start taking a bit of the rim off. Like so. Now I'll go in. Now I can feel where some of this has gotten thicker still. I can come in and do some extra work there. So I know this wall is really thick here. And I'll take it like that. Yeah. Okay. So you can continue kind of taking little bits off, thinning it out. Okay. And then I do like to use the knife to kind of paddle the rim, make sure to kind of compress. I don't know if you saw in some of the other pieces, I can get some, this clay has tendency to get a bit of a rim crack, and I like to compress it a little bit. And am I putting in a jar to put my lead in? No, no. I use a mason jar for that. And I'll go on the inside. Same idea. Compress the rim, prevents cracking. Then I will just even it out. My fingers. All right. That is pretty much day one of this. I will come back and I'll work this tomorrow, the next day, probably for the rest of the week. And come back and each day refine this a little bit. That is essentially it. It's the rough form is where the first pass has kind of been made. And eventually it'll look like this. That's what we're going for the next time too. So anyways, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to go get some more clay or whatnot. So thanks everybody for joining. Hope you all have a good Sunday afternoon, wherever you are. And I'll be doing this again probably tomorrow or the next day. So log in then. All right. Thanks everybody.